everyone. This is Lloyd Cruz, President of the Southfield City Council. We'd like to bring this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Southfield City Council meeting March 30th at 6 p.m. via teleconference. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Sure, and just a reminder, if everybody can mute their phones, please. Banks?
Present.
Brightwell?
Here.
Hoskins?
Here.
Mandelbaum?
Present.
Morris?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
Cruz?
Present.
Okay, Mr. President, you do have a quorum for our March 30th teleconference city council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. And just before we get started, just to remind myself and everybody else, all of our votes tonight do have to be roll call votes, and as long as we're on teleconference, we do have to do roll call votes for everything. So as we're moving forward, if I move too fast or something, I know you guys will let me know, remind me, but I'm reminding myself now as well. Would you all please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance before we begin? I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the
republic for which
it
it
stands,
one nation,
Under
God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We have 4 appointments, and two mayoral and two our boards and commissions. Reappointment, all 4 of them, if that's correct. Mr. Mayor, do you want to just name who your reappointments are?
First of all, let me just introduce this by saying that we've had a very active Southfield Public Arts Commission, and you're correct, Mr. President, that roughly half of the appointments are by council and the other are by mayor. And this evening, I'm recommending the reappointment of 2 individuals, and Mr. Mandelbaum as chair of the Council Boards and Commissions Committee is recommending 2.
Okay.
Nancy Banks, can I make a motion?
Yes, I'll entertain a motion, Ms. Banks.
Okay. Again, Nancy Banks, I make a motion that we reappoint Mr. Harvey Goldstein, Mr. Jeffrey Ligon, Ms. Dolores Flagg, and Mr. Nicholas Pizzana to the Southfield Public Arts Commission.
Support. This is Lenny Taylor, and I'll support.
Lenny Taylor, okay. So it's been moved by Councilwoman Banks and supported by Councilwoman Taylor that we approve the reappointments of Harvey Goldstein, Jeffrey Ligon, Dolores Flagg, and Nicholas Pizzana as reappointments to the Southfield Public Arts Commission. Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call, please?
Brightwell?
Yes.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
And Banks?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Motion passed.
All right. Well, congratulations and thank you to the 4 of these individuals for continuing to serve on this commission. We appreciate your time and service to the city and everything you've done thus far as members of the committee.
Mr. Chair, this is Dan.
All right, Mr. Brightwell.
Yeah, I'd like to move that we approve consent agenda items A through I.
A through I?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Councilman Mandelbaum, second.
This is Councilwoman Taylor, and I'll support that. Support the consent agenda.
I think
Motion.
actually I heard Mr. Mandelbaum come in second on that. If that's all right. Been moved by Mr. Brightwell and supported by Mr. Mandelbaum that we approve consent agenda items A through I. Are there any questions from any other council members or comments?
Nancy Banks.
All right, Ms. Banks.
If this is not displaying on the cable television screen, do you think it might be a good idea to read what the items are?
The consent agenda is shown, this is Councilwoman Taylor, the consent agenda is showing on cable page 2 of 2. So it's showing right now items F through I. I don't know if the first page was shown or not. I wasn't looking. I'm sorry.
It did show.
It did show.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's both pages are up.
Okay, very good. Is that acceptable, Ms. Banks? Are you okay with
Yes,
that?
it is. Yes, thank
This
you.
is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Mandelbaum.
I just had a quick question on item I through the chair to Mr. Zorn. Do we know when that traffic control order, when those signs will be put up? Or is that just going to be whenever our Public Works has the opportunity? Or is there a time frame?
At this point, I don't have a time frame. We are working our department there in shifts. I can put that question. It'll be queued into the work, and as soon as we're authorized to do this type of work, we'll get those up.
Okay. I know there shouldn't be people parking on the street anyway.
Right.
I just didn't want it to be a surprise for those that frequent that area.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Brightwell, did you have anything else on the consent? Any questions?
No, it's just A through I, but after we vote out, I do have a question about, I want some clarification on something, but
okay,
I read
Mr.
through
Hoskins?
everything, so.
Okay. Did you have anything? Mr. Hoskins?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Ms. Morris?
No, I don't have anything.
And Ms. Taylor?
Nope. No questions.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you call a vote, a roll call vote, please, for the consent agenda?
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Consent agenda items A through I approved.
Okay.
Mr.
Just
Chair?
go back to Mr. Brightwell. I know you said you had something else you wanted to add.
You know, just to ask, I read through each one of them, and item H, and it's probably good for, I'm glad Fred is on. I constantly get questions about street cleaning in the neighborhood. And, Fred, I understand the contract, but do we go through every neighborhood in the whole city on an annual basis, like on a rotating streets and blocks?
The answer is yes, we do. It's usually at twice a year we're getting through.
Okay.
And then as need, keep in mind the primary purpose of keeping our streets clean, those that are tied to storm systems and such.
Right.
We try to keep as much of that debris out of that the storm system.
Okay. But I can't say at least twice a year, every street in the city will get swept, so to speak.
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
and frankly, the streets that these contracts that item H deals with are county streets, and we actually clean them more than what the contract, what they reimburse us for. And simply, this is about keeping our storm system clean and the roads safe for drivers as well.
Okay. All right. That's it, Mr. Chair.
All righty. Looking at the agenda, our next two items were, we had two public hearings and two site plans listed. If you read the last line of each one of them, we're asking that all four of these items A and B under public hearing, and items A and B under site plan be postponed at least until April 27th. Again, using this new format that we have to use given the quarantine and such, we want to make sure that during a teleconference that we're doing these portions of the meeting correctly so that they're binding and such. And so we're still waiting on some language from the state. I don't know, Madam Clerk, did you have anything else you want to add to that, or legal? We just want to make sure, did I just cover that correctly?
Yeah, you covered it correctly, sir.
Okay. All right. So we know that these will be coming back to us at a later date. Right now, 27th is target date. If we're still meeting via teleconference or we get stronger language that gives us better direction, then we can move forward at some point in the future. Okay. All right. Are we okay with? Are we up with our census update?
We need to, Mr. President, we would need to act on those items you just talked about.
I'm sorry. Okay. So under public hearings, we had two public hearings to be postponed. Can I get a motion for those?
Yeah, I'll make the motion, Council President, that we postpone public PSLU 19-0009 and public hearing PSLU 20-0001 to a date certain of April 27th, 2020.
Okay.
This is Councilwoman Lenny Taylor. I'll support.
Okay. It's been moved by Councilwoman Morris, supported by Councilwoman Taylor, that we postpone public hearing PSLU 19-009 and PSLU 20-001 to a date certain of April 27th, 2020. Council, are there any questions or concerns? Madam Clerk. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Councilwoman Morris. I just had a quick question. Is there any update on where we are in terms of technology and being able to show the public the hearing, or how are we moving forward on how we're going to handle that?
Right now, we're in a situation where we're trying to move forward with our technology, making sure that before we do that move, we want to make sure that all our council members have been adequately trained on the software that we choose to move forward with. So because of all of this is happening with the quarantine, that will be forthcoming in the near future as we move forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other council members?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. I have a question, but it could go after we get through this public hearing item on technology. So I want to make sure that we can deal with that after we finish the public hearing and site plan item.
Yeah. Okay, that'd be fine.
Okay.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll? Call vote.
Mandelbaum.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Brightwell.
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we need to also take action on items A and B under site plan.
Mr. Chair, I make
a motion.
This is Tanya. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone to a date certain of April 27th, 2020, the site plans of PSP 19-00013 and site plan PSP 20-0001.
Support.
Councilman Mandelbaum support.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilwoman Morris, supported by Councilman Mandelbaum, that we postpone to a date certain of April 27th, 2020, the site plan PSP 19-0013 and PSP 20-001. Are there any questions? All right. And again, as always, we need another roll call vote for this as well.
Morris?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Brightwell?
Yes.
Hoskins?
Yes.
And Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Brightwell, you had another question about technology. These meetings.
Yeah. I just want to. Well, this could probably be for Renee or Sharika. How are the other cities around us doing this? And are we comfortable with respect to technology, or do we know?
I mean, each city has their different. That's a quantitative question because based on how you move forward in your technology, it depends on your council and how familiar they are with technology. So some other cities have used different technologies, whether it's Microsoft Teams, whether it's a conference call, whether it's Zoom, just based on the right sizing of their particular municipality. So that's not a question. That's a twofold question. It depends on your personnel and what's best for your municipality. So each municipality surrounding us are using different technology.
Okay, well, there's something known as best practices. So what are other cities doing that is the best practice that we are not doing? Because obviously we're not doing something, right?
This is Ken Cyber. I would add that I checked with MML, and a number of communities, especially smaller ones, have canceled their meetings until April sometime. There was a listserv response from various communities. So the fact that this is our second meeting electronically, I think we're ahead of many others.
Right, and this is the clerk, Councilman Brightwell. I'll push back a little bit on us not doing things right. We're in the forefront, actually. No other community as of tonight has done 2 meetings teleconference. So although we have done them different ways, we're in the forefront. So we have other communities that are calling us to see how we're moving forward with this. So we're actually very productive in continuing to move forward in the business of the city. So I wouldn't say that we're not doing any right. At the beginning of this meeting, there was a mild technology issue, but I think that's a falsehood to say that we're not doing things right.
Okay, that was just a throw off, but the fact that we having these glitches, that's why I just threw that out. It's just a function of just glitches. I'm assuming. Is Troy or anybody else doing this?
They're having teleconference meetings, yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Mr. President, this is Administrator Zorn. I just want to add to the comment, too. We're being real cautious in the public hearing piece. And it appears we're having a minor technology glitch tonight, but we're also setting the stage that when it comes time for the public hearings, that we'll be able to and will permit the public that two-way communication, where they'll be able to communicate, it appears most likely through the clerk, back to the council. So their questions about a site plan or their comments during the public hearing process can be brought in. And it isn't just also about our technology, but it's about what's readily available from a technology standpoint to that listening former, viewing audience who in the past would be typically sitting in our chamber of commerce, in our council chambers. How do we get them to connect? So there is quite a bit, and I have to agree. I think we're more on the forefront, and we're all learning from each other. So just ask for a little bit of patience, and we'll continue to work our way through this. Thank you.
And to add to that, Mr. President, this is the clerk.
Yes.
Another thing that we are doing to afford the opportunity for all and having the call in and also having the online with cable, we're trying to have it so if people that don't have the internet, they can call in and vice versa. So we have a format for all types of our residents because some of our residents don't have a phone or internet. So we are in the forefront in providing multiple options for that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anything else, Mr. Brightwell?
Yeah, let me just ask because I got a call the other day from a resident and asking me, and I told them they could go online at that day of. Obviously, they don't have cable. They couldn't let's say pull up the telephone number to call in, and I told them they could call me the day of, and I could give them the number to call in. I'm assuming. Is that number a fixed number, that 5051? Is that a fixed number for residents, or will it change over time?
No, the public call-in number is 248-796-5152, and that number is
from a resident and asking me, and I told them.
So you kind of went out at the end, Mr. Brightwell.
Oh, 5152. That's a permanent call-in number.
That's going to stay the same, Madam Clerk. That number. I'm sorry, because I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
The phone number is 248-796-5152 to call in for public comment.
Okay.
Again, that's 796-5152.
Okay. My question is that a permanent number?
Yes, it's a permanent number while we're doing the meetings this way.
Okay. Can maybe you and maybe Mrs. Zorn, do you think we can be proactive and communicate with people, with the public, some kind of way that said that this will be the public call-in number until we, cease to do these teleconferences?
It's on our website right now already, and it's on every agenda that we've printed since we've been on this fourth way.
Okay.
And then we're going to work with cable to put something up on cable as well.
Okay. My initial premise of my question or statement is that I got a call from an individual. They don't have cable, and they don't have access to our website and all this stuff. They didn't know where to call them, so I told them to call me, and I'd give them the number the day of. Is there any way we could communicate with those individuals, those limited number of individuals who do not have access to current day technology? So
if they're reaching out to their elected officials, you can just give us that information to deal with it case by case scenario.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you much. All right. Are we ready to go back to presentations?
I believe it's been loaded. And if we could pull it up. Okay. So, as I was saying, this is Mayor Ken Cyber. We began our work on the 2020 census about a little over a year ago. And we put together what's called a complete count committee, a cross-section of our community. They began meeting in October. We did a great deal of work. Obviously now with the shutdown, many of the events that we had planned up to and just after April 1st have been canceled. We are planning to, with the grant money that we received, we are planning to do commercials on Comcast. Anyhow, next slide. All right, so there are barriers to being counted. language barriers, mistrust of government, privacy concerns people have, cybersecurity. They're afraid to tell. They don't feel that they need to reveal anything about themselves, although the census form itself really is very, very short. It asks to list the people that live in the house or in the housing unit. Non-traditional living arrangements. These are people who may stay one place for a while and then stay someplace else. Lack of computer or internet access. I'm going to say next slide at this point. Physical barriers such as inaccessible multi-family units, gated communities. This is where the enumerators cannot get into the units to knock on doors after late April, starting in late April. Age, the very young or the elderly. Citizenship status and level of income and education are all barriers to being counted. Believe it or not, as we've gone out in the community, there are people that didn't know what the census was. So we have hard to count groups. These are children under age 5. If anybody that was born on or before, there have been a couple of births. We heard about one earlier today. One of the librarians had a baby. This child is to be counted, even if they're a day or two old. Racial and ethnic minorities, non-English speakers, immigrants, renters, residents who move frequently, alternative or overcrowded housing units. Next slide. Publicly inaccessible housing, persons displaced by natural disasters, young mobile adults, and single-parent-headed households all tend to be, and again, this is national research. It's not specific to Southfield, but are groups that have been identified as hard to count and sometimes do not respond. So this is looking at the 2010. Our Complete Count Committee took a very hard look at the last census to give us sort of a clue of where we should be putting a lot of our efforts for the 2020 census. Unfortunately, in Oakland County, Southfield had the distinction of having the second worst response rate. We had 81% response rate in 2000, and in 2010, only 76. When what's considered a poor response is anything below 80. We had census tracts that were 5 that were well below 75% compliance, and that, of course, hurts us with as far as revenue sharing. In all, there are 23 census tracts in Southfield. Next slide, you'll see a map of the areas of the city that these are by section numbers and not census tract numbers, where we had more than 25% non-responders to the census when the census was all said and done. And we had sections where we had between 20 and 25%. Again, the areas that are in the shaded, the white areas where we had above 80% response. The areas that are in yellow are areas where we had just under 80% in the high 70s, and then the areas in orange are areas that had less than 70%. So, why is the census participation critically important? It's because we certainly want to share annually, and this would be for the next decade, in $675 billion in federal aid. City planning, business decisions, business attractions, county, state, and federal representation are all tied to the census. Research funding, hospital and charitable funding, human services funds, of course, roads, infrastructure, liquor licenses, location of community services, forecasting future transportation trends, and the evaluation of existing programs and services. We can move on to the next slide. The next slide will talk about how we have motivated, our Complete Count Committee has motivated residents to respond. We began, again, meeting last fall, and then our committee members took assignments beginning in January, February, and March. What each member, and we asked each member, and again, we had a cross-section. We had schools, universities, we had various religious organizations. COSA was heavily involved. The Total Living Commission, our business community, our chamber. So we divided up into subcommittees: senior adults, nursing homes, school and university, traditionally undercounted populations. We also, something we hadn't done before, we'll move to the next slide, something we hadn't done before, we even approached group homes. The city has 60 group homes operating in Southfield, and we contacted the managers of all the group homes, as we certainly want their clients counted. I'll just point out while this slide is on, and we can move to the next one, but university population. We're really counting on having the students that live on the campus of Lawrence Tech counted. That's 1,000 students. Because of the COVID-19 crisis, the dormitories are empty, so they will probably be counted in their home communities. So, how are we doing? Well, we get a daily total. This is as of Saturday, March 28th. Nationally, the response rate has been 33.1%. In Michigan, it's been 38.5%. In Southfield, it's 35.4%. We can go to the next slide. Now, again, this is the 30th of March. People have until April 1st to be counted this way. However, because of the crisis that we're in, we're going to continue to push people to complete the census either by mail, phone, or internet all through the month of April. So, again, we want to repeat that the individual census responses are kept in strictest confidence. Personal information is not shared with the FBI, ICE, courts, local police, IRS. It is totally kept confidential. What is shared is the cumulative data, the total numbers of persons by race, gender, marital status, age, etc. This cumulative data is very important for planning purposes and revenue sharing. So think about it. Census data is released after 70 years and is used for historical and ancestry research. So the data that's collected now for the 2020 census will not be released until 2019 or 2091. And then I thought you might find this a little bit interesting. The Southfield Historical Society, as you know, or may remember, did a lot of research on the Underground Railroad, and they had actually connected by through census data, finding who was living here then, and people who were attending the Covenant's Church, which is north of the library on Evergreen Road. And the pastor there was an abolitionist. He was part of the Underground Railroad, and there were a number of Southfield farmers who attended that church and were also abolitionists. So in looking at the 1860 census, this is prior to the start of the Civil War, we find that Southfield had roughly 16 people of color living in the community. They worked on farms. They don't, with the exception of Mae Washington, all of the, and then they don't list her age or the names of their children, which was pretty typical because this is before women's suffrage. But the following, the people that are on the list here were all people of color, either mixed race or African Americans who were living in Southfield in the 1850s and counted in the 1860 census. And this is one of the reasons why it's so valuable for us to track trends and do historic research by people responding to the census. So I just threw this slide in because I thought this may be of interest to our residents. It was part of our overall research on the Underground Railroad and the abolitionist movement in Southfield back in the 1850s. So I thank you for this. I certainly, for your attention, certainly free to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, I'll go down the row and see if there are any questions. Ms. Banks.
Thank you. Mayor Stiver, could you please explain why is only part of the Southfield map highlighted? Did I miss what you were saying? I'm looking at the census compliance.
The white ones, the white sections, those all had more than 80% response.
Well, it says the yellow has 80%, the orange has 70%, and then the white, I don't know what that. There's nothing on it for the white section.
No, the white sections meant that's where the majority of people responded. But while we have this slide up, I didn't really get to explain this. This is a snapshot. The response slide was a snapshot of where we were on Saturday as far as response. And it goes from a dark amber to a blue, as the website reports daily the progress. But again, on this particular slide that's up, any of those areas that are unshaded, those areas are where census response was highest in the city, and it met, in other words, 80 to 90%. Again, the orange was lower than 70%. So on this, again, back on this slide, this is daily. We can track our census response by going to www.2020census /gov, then /en/response rate. And you can see how the state is doing, the nation is doing, as well as drill down to any community in Michigan. And then you can do it by area of the city in which you live. It's really a great tool, and it's an advancement over previous information sharing by the Census Bureau. I'm so old that this is my 5th complete count committee, and hopefully the last. But anyhow, the Census Bureau is doing a good job of keeping us informed on response rate. This data then will be used later by the enumerators who go out and knock on doors for the addresses that have not responded. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brightwell.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think you did answer my question. When will they go out and start counting by door? I mean, knocking on doors. I know when I did my census, they explained something, but I forgot when they will go outside knocking on doors.
Because of the crisis, they've pushed that off. And this is subject to change, obviously.
Right.
But they had pushed it off a couple of weeks to the end of April, and it maybe later than that. Obviously, health and staying safe is a primary concern.
Sure. And a little bit of humor. You've been around for so long. Are you counted twice?
No, I've been counted ever since 1950.
Okay, no problem.
All right, Mr. Hoskins, did you have any questions or concerns?
Mr. Councilman Brightwell actually took my question. I'm all set.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Mandelbaum?
No questions for me. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Morris?
No questions for me. Thank you.
And Ms. Taylor?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. It seems like you covered all the bases there, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate your time and presentation on this very valuable information. I did have just one question. I may have missed it in there. Other implications as it relates to the census, dealing with redistricting. Did that come up at all?
No, that's an excellent point, Council President, and that if you're counted, those figures go into the redistricting. So that's an excellent point. And on a final note, our biggest challenge going forward now with this, probably in a month, if the enumerators go out, are apartments. Because of apartment security, enumerators just can't walk into lobbies in most buildings or walk down the hallways and knock on doors. So we've really tried to work with the apartment managers to help us access their tenants. And we've sent information to the Metro Detroit Apartment Association for owners to help us get everybody counted, as it's in everybody's interest, of course. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on down to our next portion of the meeting, which is our communications. And again, I know we have that 1 minute delay, so if you signed up for communications or plan to speak, we'll take a moment to let people chime in.
Mr. President, this is the city clerk. We have 2 people on the line right now, so we're ready to go when you are. Yep.
Oh, great. Okay. Very
One
good.
second. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're ready.
Good evening. My name is Gerard Mullen, Southfield Citizens Oversight Committee, Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037. Mr. President, tonight I would like to talk about Section 11.18. 11.18 in the Southfield City Charter. Section 11.18 is entitled Amendments. Recently, this council has been talking about reverting back to local primary elections by amending Section 3.3 in the city charter. Sad to say that Section 11.18, which is the necessary tool that would be needed to amend Section 3.3, is broken. Yes, broken. Broken because the authors of Section 11.18 failed to carefully copy down correctly into Section 11.18 of the Home Rule Act of 1909, the state law that is the sole mandate for amending any city charter in the state of Michigan. In other words, Section 11.18 is in violation of Michigan state law and has been since day one. Here is what went wrong. The good news is that the authors of Section 11.18 copied down the correct section of the Home Rule Act. But the bad news is they did it incorrectly. Let me expand on this. There are two necessary steps to amending a city charter according to state law. Step number one, council must first pass a proposed charter amendment and then place it on the ballot. Step number two, the voters must pass the proposed ballot charter amendment. And that is how you amend the city charter here in the state of Michigan. But unfortunately, that is not what Section 11.18 says. Sadly, Section 11.18 deletes step number two. That is, it eliminates the ballot election totally. And in doing so, the charter now erroneously states that all it takes to amend the charter is just 5 council votes. In a word, you folks need to fix Section 11.18 first before you try to amend Section 3.3. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have one more.
Okay. Go right ahead when you're ready.
Okay. Hello?
Clock begins
You ready?
now. Hello?
Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
This is Pamela Gerald, and for all of the residents that have reached out to me since March the 12th for the loss of my second oldest sister who passed away on that day, I really appreciate you, and you never cease to amaze me with your care and consideration for me over the years. I wanted to talk about the fact that our current and newly appointed city attorney, Dawn King, seems to be moving in an expeditious manner to appoint a new deputy city attorney. And I just believe with what is purported to have happened in Macomb County with that prosecutor, we need to slow our road and hold our horses. I'd like to thank Councilwomen Lenny Taylor and Nancy Banks for expressing the concern, are we moving too fast with that? You know, these positions, like the city attorney, the deputy city attorney, and other people being promoted in that department are very sensitive positions, and we need to make sure that these people are properly vetted. Who would have thought that a man that was elected to a position in Macomb County would be facing such scrutiny with what he purportedly does? So we need to know who these people are, where they're coming from, what's their background, do they have any indiscretions as it relates to the law, or anything that would put the city in a bad standing, having them working in our city attorney's office. So this is no disrespect to the city attorney, but I just appreciate Lenny Taylor and Nancy Banks for asking that this process be slowed down. There's no need to rush, and we have got to, if we need to, start doing that national search. I know the city has been very selective with what positions they do the national search for and what positions they promote within. And then lastly, I'd like to compliment the mayor, Fred Zorn, our city, deputy city administrator, John Mishrina, and all of the other city employees, including public safety, for what you are currently doing to keep the citizens in the city of Southfield safe. I was doing some checking, and it appears as if we're doing everything right, keeping the officers, the firefighters, the city employees safe, keeping the residents safe, and I'm happy to see that the chief is enforcing that stay-at-home order. So thank you so much. You guys keep the faith, and this too shall pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else, Madam Clerk? Oops. I'm sorry.
That's all we had, sir.
That's all we have. Okay. We'll now move to our council portion of the meeting. Council, starting with, we'll start with Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. I just want to once again thank the city employees, just as it was just mentioned, for outstanding work. Our city administrator, our mayor, our city clerk, our IT department, just everyone, the police, fire, all of our first responders, DPW, everyone is just outstanding, keeping us up to date with notices and information, keeping the employees safe, having them work from home, keeping the residents safe by closing city and non-essential events and things like that. I am just very pleased with the way everything is going during these unprecedented times. So I just want to say thank you to everyone and to keep up the good work. And I want to thank all of our residents for staying home and staying safe. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Ms. Morris, anything this evening?
Yes, just to echo Councilwoman Taylor's comments, just such an awesome job that our city administrator, the mayor, and all the rest of our staff is doing to keep our city safe. I just want to encourage everyone to shelter in place. We do know that we have instances of people who have tested positive in our city. So we want to adhere to those and stay home. And that's all that I have for this evening. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thank you. And Mr. Mandelbaum?
Thank you. Again, I want to echo what Ms. Taylor said, and as well as Ms. Morris, and really give a shout out to our first responders. I know that our police department is frequently getting more and more calls every day for assistance, even though there are many people staying at home, but the calls are going up. Thank you for them and the police department who are on the front lines. I also want to put out there and let all the people know that I'm sure everyone knows someone who has been infected with this virus, and we're all praying for recoveries for those people, and hope for the best for all of them. And that being said, Southfield does have a very senior population. If you know of a neighbor who lives alone, or an elderly couple, or somebody, just call them. It doesn't have to be a long call, but just make sure that they're okay, that they're not lonely. I know I've called a few people already, so I think it just helps with that as well. Just check on your neighbors. It's the nice neighborly thing to do. And last but certainly not least, there are a lot of people who are taking precautions when they go out, wearing masks and gloves, but please don't litter. We're finding more and more rubber gloves on the streets and the sidewalks. Please, if you're going to wear gloves, take them off and dispose of them properly. Don't litter on our beautiful city. Everyone else, please stay safe. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hoskins?
Thank you. I just want to echo everything that all of my colleagues have been saying. We want everyone to stay safe. Please stay home. If you don't have to leave, only leave if you need to get the necessities. We're dealing with an unprecedented situation, and I want to also commend our city for how they've stepped up and really tackled this. Our city administrator, Fred Zorn, our police department, all of our city staff, they have done an impressive, impeccable job. And I am so honored to be a part of this organization. And I hope that the residents of Southfield know that they have such a good team working for them here. Again, I can't stress it enough. You know, Councilman Mendelbaum just said, you know, there's people in our lives that have been touched by this. And I cannot stress it enough. Please stay home if you don't have to leave. Stay home and stay safe, and we will get through this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brightwell?
Yes, this is definitely becoming an echo chamber. I want to say everything that was said previously about being safe and staying at home, and the work that the city and administration is doing. I spoke to Mrs. Zorn over a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, when things were happening in Washington State, and I was surprised at how much the city was doing in preparation for this particular virus event. They were being proactive. They were scenario planning, and I was just impressed with the amount of proactiveness Fred was dealing in. The other thing I want to deal with is the question that I think I just answered my own question I had previously. And Fred, if you're on the line, I'm concerned about communicating with the individuals who are not up to date with today's technology. Can we have the sign out there in the front yard mention council meetings, teleconference? This is the phone number to call in on, because seriously, I have gotten a couple calls, but people they don't have cable, all that good stuff. Perhaps we can change the sign on the front lawn to notify the individuals who are driving by what number to call. But other than that, I just want to thank Mr. Zorn for being proactive and all our first responders. And obviously, we hear nationwide about individuals who are public servants, and also the first responders in the hospitals who are becoming ill. And I know their lives on the line. And these are serious individuals who really love their job, and that's why they are becoming ill, because they care. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Banks?
Thank you. I also would like to echo what many of my colleagues have said, and I would like to thank our city administrator, all of our department heads, and all of our city employees for the excellent work that they are doing to keep our community and our residents safe. A special shout out also to all of our first responders. Thank you for the job that you are doing. During these challenging times, I ask that you all join me in praying for our doctors, nurses, those in the hospitals, and all of our frontline responders. They are under an extreme amount of pressure and stress. There are also many churches, synagogues, and other faith-based areas or places of worship in our community that are offering Zoom services, Bible study classes, and food for those in need. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you do not have a faith-based community or if you know of someone who needs a meal. Also, many subdivisions are working very closely together to help each other out. I am happy to share the form that the Berg Point Association has distributed to all of the residents in that area. Please feel free to contact me at nbanks@cityofsouthfield.com. I truly believe that together we will conquer this virus. Please do not fear. Stay positive, only believe, and most importantly, have faith. And again, if you need to talk to someone, please don't hesitate. You can reach out to me or any of the elected officials. Everyone, please stay home, stay healthy, and more importantly, stay safe. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Banks. And, well, I think I won't belabor the point. I think you've heard that council is quite thankful for all the hard work that all the city employees have put in to make this difficult time move as smoothly as possible. So we thank everybody from our administrator to, again, our department heads and other staff and employees that are putting in a lot of hard work. Thank you all for everything that you do. So that said, we'll move on to the mayor. Mr. Mayor, did you have anything for us this evening? Or are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to unmute.
I'm sorry.
I do want to mention, and our people really are working hard. We conference every day, 7 days a week. But I particularly, we have Justin Beck in our emergency command center in the basement of City Hall that he is so on top of this, and he's put so much effort into this and our response efforts and communicating where things are. It's greatly appreciated, Justin. The mayor and city administrator over the weekend had a conversation with the Oakland County Health Division, and one of the things that the Health Division is concerned about is people, because they're home, may think it's okay to go visit other people, family in particular, and it's just best not to do that. And I know that's a hard request, especially if you have older relatives. But it's really, as the county health division reminds us, it's about limiting contacts with others if we want to keep the numbers down of people who are sick and are dying. On another related topic, the city of Southfield tomorrow at 10 a.m. is hosting a virtual town hall. You can access this on Microsoft Teams. There's a web address that's too long to repeat here, but it can be found on the city's website, www.cityofsouthfield.com. The virtual town hall is for business, and it's an online resource session to provide information on how to apply for emergency loans and grant funds. The state of Michigan and Oakland County are providing immediate help to small businesses impacted by COVID-19, and the state grant state grants will assist qualifying small businesses up to $10,000 to help offset the losses and expenses resulting from the emergency. Businesses must be able to verify that they have been adversely impacted by the coronavirus crisis, and that they are unable to obtain other traditional means of assistance. And this town hall tomorrow is part of our business development team, headed by Shelley Freeman, Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce. This will be broadcast in conjunction with the city cable, our Michigan Works office, the city administrator, and myself. And there is another resource that I want to mention to apply for business relief. Go to www.oakgov.com/COVID/business relief. And there is grant criteria there that includes businesses that have less than 50 employees, businesses that are in a high impact corridor, a company that needs working capital to support payroll and so on. The funding is limited. It's on a competitive basis. So these loans range from $50,000 to $200,000 at an incredible interest rate, 0.25%. And the term of the loan is up only for 60 months. And this is going to be administered by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. I know I've talked about this a little bit fast, but it is all on the city's website. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administrator Zorn?
Thank you, Mr. President. I still, first I'd like to comment on Councilman Brightwell's comments. We will incorporate that call-in number on the library, on the sign out in front of City Hall here. So we'll take care of that. And then I just want to make it really clear what my team has been able to do. Justin Beck, Chief Menifee, Chief Barron, Larry Searles, Public Works, our community relations, all of that doesn't happen without the support of a city council that's laid and created an environment for us to be able to work under these conditions. This is about Southfield being strong and continuing to serve our residents and do what's in the best interest during a public health crisis unlike anything most of us have ever seen in our lifetime. And every day we are doing a group call. There are over 30 people on the call. We start with our Emergency Operations Center headed by Justin Beck, and that is a tremendous amount of coordination with the county, the state, FEMA. Additional personnel has been brought in to that group. Henry Gordon from our Public Works has recently joined us. Tomorrow, a couple other members from our fire department will come in. As it's been said, our police runs, our calls for domestic situations having increased. That is very concerning. Fire runs are up. If you were to annualize the number, it is up over 25%. So we're focused on the immediate crisis, trying to move the community into staying positive. We will get through this. We are strong. We have a lot of resources. We're focused on our economic recovery. What might the impact be on our tax base? What will our budgeting for future years need to be? Then what can we do to help our businesses? Processing, helping people find work through our career center. We're very much looking at multiple fronts: the immediate crisis, the psychological impact of what we're dealing with, then economic recovery, and how do we get people back to work. Then the most recent is our focus on understanding the federal legislation. $2.3 trillion will come to local units of government. It will be administered by agencies that have populations of over 500,000 people. In other words, Oakland County will be the administrative entity. I want to thank our Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, who sits on the Appropriations Subcommittee, as well as our Senators Stabenow and Peters for their support on that federal legislation. There's lots of detail to be pulled out, and I don't think since the Great Recession, where we had a $1 trillion stimulus, we've had to do so much analysis. But we have good friends at the Michigan Municipal League, multiple law firms who are all going through that data and helping us. I know earlier today, Senator Stabenow's office called the mayor, and we will be receiving additional funds from Community Development Block Grant through HUD, the amount of $250,000. So we're going to start going through how that stimulus can assist Southfield, and in particular how we shoulder the cost of these additional manpower efforts that we're taking. I want to thank the community for understanding that we've had to make a lot of tough decisions. I'm encouraging people to look to our webpage for information daily. Then look at our Facebook pages as well. The library is doing some things through their e-books and Zoom for group reading. Parks and Rec is doing some golf instruction on Facebook. Every day I'm hearing just incredible things where we're using technology. Want to comment on technology? Our technology services group has been phenomenal. We have connected more people with remote access and more employees to remote access than we've historically had here, and that allows our workforce to continue to process payroll, to pay our vendors, to communicate with the outside world. So, I just want to thank my entire team. I couldn't be more proud of the resources we have here as a community. And again, thank you to council, mayor, clerk, and the treasurer for supporting us through this process. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Madam Attorney?
Hi. The City Attorney's Office has nothing further. Just hope everyone takes care and stay safe.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
No comment.
All right. Is our treasurer on? Or I know our planner was.
Yeah, I'm still on.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't have anything to add tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The assessor or engineer. Okay. We don't have anything to schedule. Does anyone else have anything for the good of the order before we adjourn? All right. Hearing none. Our meeting is adjourned.